and I'll give you rest. This is a call, an invitation, a manifesto, a recipe for those of us who are struggling, juggling, carrying the heavy weight of collective trauma. Those whose nervous systems are screaming or whispering under the weight of traumatic stress. The kind of traumatic stress that causes you to fight, flee, freeze, or try to appease others in order to survive yourself. The kind of traumatic stress that can cause migraines and insomnia, backache and stomach ache. The collective wound that gives birth to depression and despair, panic attacks, and the cold grip of numbness. I am here for those who can't stop crying and those who are all cried out. Let us take collective breath, inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. I am here for survivors of collective trauma, what some call intergenerational trauma, historical trauma, the traumatic wounds of oppression. Many of our indigenous siblings call it ancestral wounds and collective grief. I am here for descendants of enslavement. I am here for survivors and descendants of Trail of Tears and internment camps and Holocaust and genocide and colonization and decolonization and neo-colonialism. Many of us are bleeding, but we're still here. As a psychologist, I recognize from our research that we desire to do more than survive. We want to thrive. Psychologists and indigenous healers have found multiple medicines to address collective trauma. I am here to transcribe the prescription for our collective liberation. The first medicine is truth. We must face and speak the truth of our collective wounds if we are to heal. Denial will not save us. There are those who do not want us to speak truth, but they are the ones that don't want us to survive. They call truth-telling divisive, but truth is the only path to healing and liberation. And so we resist the silences. We recognize that critical consciousness is key. Train your eyes to see the way truth brings a tide into your noonday reality. Train your eyes and your ears, your heart and your mind to recognize socio-political landmines that have created explosions in your life and the lives of those you love. Do not run from truth. Lean into it. Speak it boldly, tenderly, holistically. If it aligns with you, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and take a breath at your own pace. The second medicine is to free your heart. Your heart is an orchestra, so let it sing. We must resist the messaging, the socialization, the programming that tells us our communities are not deserving of our mourning, that we are not justified in our outrage, that we cannot afford the luxury of depression even as we carry the weight of despair. But the reality is that we are worthy of the full range of human emotions. Yes. I am here for those who learned early to fix your face. I am here for those whose ancestors taught them how to hide pain in laughter, how to tuck it in freshly baked bread, how to braid it in your hair, how to plant it in your prayers that rise above muffled screams. I am here for those who are exhausted. Exhausted from stereotype and stigma and surveillance and racial battle fatigue. I am here to say this sacred space is sanctuary. So in this collective sigh, we can feel our feelings. Colonization and oppression tried to choke your ancestors' heart, to honor them, and to heal your family line. Heal, feel all of your feelings boldly and unapologetically. You are not a machine. You are a human being. You are not a machine. You are a human being. You are worthy of your feelings. There is freedom and liberation in your feelings. And so if it aligns with you, embrace yourself and take breath at your own pace. The third medicine is community care. Colonization teaches competition, individualism, and the ultimate goal of gaining power over other people's bodies and resources. Resist that script. Recite the love language of your ancestors. Allow people to show up for you. Allow yourself to be yourself in the presence of another. African-centered psychology teaches us that we are all interrelated, interconnected, interwoven from the same river, dancing the same sacred dance, a homecoming. This is the truth of who we are. An African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so in the language of my ancestors, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. We thrive and get liberated together. So let us take breath together at our own pace. The fourth medicine is self-care. Oppression and trauma teach us to disconnect from ourselves, to erase ourselves, to silence ourselves, to martyr ourselves, to overlook ourselves in service of corporations and institutions and plantations. But the reality is that we are human beings, and Tricia Hersey, the Nat Bishop, teaches us we have the right to our rest. For collective liberation, go take a nap. Drink water with cucumber and lemon. Go sit under a tree. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables. In order to be healed, set boundaries and protect your peace. In order to break the intergenerational chain, go lie down somewhere. Laugh loudly. Run you a bubble bath. Get free. Perhaps you never saw a model or an example of what it looked like to be a marginalized person at rest. It's important for you to become the model, for you to let your children catch you relaxing, playing, having a good time, laughing instead of always hustling, always stressed out, always zapping out. If you never saw the model before, you can become the model. This is what it looks like for a Black woman to be at rest. I know you've seen us laboring. I know you've seen us leading. But honestly, is there anything more delicious or sacred than a Black woman at rest? Fill in your own marginalized identity. Let your children see that this is what it looks like for a blank person to be at rest. So from this revolutionary, radical act, let's take breath at our own pace. The fifth medicine is creativity. We get liberated through our expression. Oppression and trauma teach you to hide your voice. And so get liberated in the expressive arts. Access the mental health benefits of your creativity. Reclaim your soul and your voice. So breathe and paint and breathe and sing and breathe and dance and breathe and beadwork and breathe and pottery and breathe and quilt making and breathe in culinary arts and breathe in cosmetology and breathe and live and breathe and be made whole and be made whole and be made whole and breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe. The sixth medicine is resistance. Unlike most forms of psychology, liberation psychology teaches more than coping, it teaches resistance. We must actively resist oppression. We must actively resist insecurity, intimidation, and internalized racism, sexism, and every form of oppression that tries to teach you that you are unworthy. We have to shift the tide. How do we shift the tide? By advocating, by voting, by running for office, by boycotting, by protesting, by dismantling, by rebuilding, by loving, by laughing, by purposeful parenting, by allyship and being a co-conspirator. This is how we resist. And I know many of you get weary because you're one of a few on your job or in your neighborhood, but I want you to know every major movement started with a few. So in the words of Tracy Chapman, don't you know we're talking about a revolution? Sounds like a whisper. The seventh and final medicine is culture and spirituality. The trauma of oppression tries to convince you that you come from nothing, while they look to you to take everything. That is appropriation. And so reclaim your wealth. Your culture is your wealth. Turn and tell the person next to you, I'm rich. I'm rich. I'm rich. Reclaim your art, your language, the indigenous sciences, your wisdom. Reclaim your foreparents' prayers. Reclaim your foreparents' prophecies. Reclaim their wisdom and lean into the truth of your own beauty and genius. When you get clear about who in the world you are, you know you never show up anywhere by yourself. I come with backup. And so as we reclaim our culture and our spirituality, we get free. And so from that liberated space, let's take breath together at our own pace. The reality is that despite the wounds of collective trauma, we can grab hold of collective liberation. We are still here. We are a radiant masterpiece, frayed edges, some stains and some sticky spots, but still here. In order for us to get liberated, we have to be very clear that our liberation is tied to each other. And so as we look around this room, let us commit ourselves to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain, psychologically, politically, economically, socially, financially, theologically. Let's break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. It is so, and so it is.